This means that if you have 50,000 GPUs in your cluster, which is a little bit more than what they had, you're getting 1 failure per hour. So one day you get like 24 failures. That's actually a lot if you have to recover by hand. But Meta had an automated recovery mechanism. Their idea was, suppose that some GPU has failed. We need to restart it. If you restart it, we lose the information on that GPU. So we just periodically save the information we need to some remote storage. When a GPU has failed, we just restart and recover it and keep our training run going, right? And you can try to examine when would this become an issue. Well, you can sort of think intuitively that the point at which you start having a problem is when the time between consecutive failures becomes smaller than the amount of time you need to save and recover from this remote storage. But when you work out how much this would be, and even for their model, you get to a number like 70 million GPUs. So it's a lot. It's like that is already enough to make it to the end of the decade. And then there are much more, like, first of all, the fact that you will be scaling your model up gives you an advantage. The fact that there are actually more sophisticated ways you can recover from failures. For example, instead of saving to a remote storage, which is going to have fairly limited bandwidth, you can say you have some number of GPUs in your training run. Each GPU can send its state to, say, 3 or 4 other GPUs in the cluster. And then you have like 3 or 4 backups for everything in your cluster. When you work out the mathematics of this, you see that if you have like 4 backups of each GPU in like random places in your cluster, then it's extremely unlikely that all of those are going to fail at the same time. So it will always
uncorrelated,
yes,
then
if it's
the chances
uncorrelated
are extremely low.
That's right. So and that gives you much more bandwidth because you already need this very high bandwidth interconnect between your GPUs in your cluster and between nodes to even facilitate your training run, setting aside checkpointing. You just need this high bandwidth of communication. Well, if you already have it and it's already there, then why not use it for checkpointing? It's a very simple idea. And when we try to estimate, okay, like how big could you make training runs with this kind of strategy, you get like, even with very pessimistic assumptions about how your bandwidth might decline, bandwidth per GPU might decline as you scale your cluster, you still get like 10 billion GPUs or more. So this is not going to be a problem. I think like in anything else is like more likely to bottleneck scaling than GPU failures.